Oops. Thank you, Antonella, for... I was apparently live and I didn't even know it. The date on the other one when I couldn't actually get through and join the actual live setting. So those of you who are new, give me 5 and I'll have a smoke and we'll get tucked into the reading. I didn't actually, well, I was going to do a reading tonight, but I actually realised I had a live session tonight. Oops. Half the time I'm working arduously and attentively on the twin flame journey, trying to do anything I can to see what frequency we need to be at. It may be little loopholes of how we can fast track our journey, how we can spiritually enhance ourselves, and the journey continues. So as most of the feminines, I'll try and sit here so you can actually, yeah, as most of the feminines know, and masculines, the collective journey, it's a very long process. And I think the more research I've done and the more self-realization I've had, it starts not looking like rocket science. I am going to create a few separate videos. I was talking to Giggle, and I've talked to Mark about this before, and little things like, how do I explain it? There's certain dynamics that we're taught in the twin flame journey. And, you know, anything from the aspects of codependency, you know, sometimes some of us getting a bit confused by are we or aren't we in, you know, in the element of have we actually purged it, you know, that awareness, that knowing. Also, a lot of people have asked me questions about, you know, how will we know it's a correct time to move into the twin flame connection, and how will we know? After the day I've had, it's almost like I want to laugh at myself, because those are questions that I've asked myself in my lifetime over various stages. And I think I had a few realizations today through looking at different elements and roads that you go through in your spiritual awakening journey. And one aspect of them is the aspect of the ego, which is a very interesting dynamic, and we call it the Band-Aid effect. It's a toolkit that we hold inside ourselves that helps us sort of have this aspect of a moral compass to know what burns and what doesn't, so to speak. It's like who we are, what we want out of life, and it's about 7 elements, I believe, which I'll go into discussing with you guys, but I will pull some cards, you know, and tune into it psychically, into the twin flame journey. But you know, a lot of people are really stuck saying, okay, if my twin flame did come back, how am I going to know I'm safe? I mean, how many of you have felt that? Just out of curiosity. Raise your hands in the air. Hit me with it. How many of you have felt like, oh my God, am I safe? It's very interesting. Okay. Okay, now how many of us don't trust our intuition? $50-50? But then you wouldn't fare it then, Heidi. No, this is a different one. Okay. The reason I say that is because when we check in our frequency, how many of us know what the work is? You know, when we hear in terms, okay, have you done the work? And we hear it all the time. Yeah, I'm doing the work. And then, like, and I asked a few people today, in layman's terms, feel the work is. I mean, life is work, yes. Working on ourselves is work, but what part? Like, do we key point know what the work is? Because we can say, what is the work? Anyone want to work is? Purging is an aspect. What are you purging? It's a very interesting, relevant question. It's like if somebody came under a twin flame, okay, and look, no matter who it is, collectively, universally, we have to do the work. We hear it all the times, but nobody ever talks about the mirror. We know in layman's mirror, but who's ever discussed the mirror? How do we look at that mirror aspect? How do we look at numerology when it comes to twins? Wait, what work do we need to do exactly to reach union? It's made me do some research, and the research, I sat here and I had a massive epiphany today. Thank you very kindly to me actually questioning life as you do, and you go through the motion. You look at yourself and, okay, we're not looking outside of ourselves right now. We're going to stay focused in this moment. And that's really about being present. You know, off track and we're talking, we're missing the opportunity to absorb the information collectively. If we're not doing the work and we're not to our higher selves or working on what we need to do, we're actually giving our power away. And that is what the work is. Also, when we're an ego, we're in an aspect of judgment and fear, which is problematic as well, which is very hard when we have the word action. How many of us feel that we shouldn't have expectations, which is theoretically in the twin flame journey, is like, don't have expectations. Okay, so why shouldn't we have expectations? But what do expectations equal? Just curiosity, because these are interesting questions I asked myself today. Disappointment, but why does an expectation equal disappointment? Within self doesn't equal disappointment. If you fail your own expectation equals disappointment. Does expectation equal love? A lot of people are getting to a point where we're looking at the twin flame journey, and these are relevant reasons why. We can have expectation, but here's the problem. The way we have conditioned our beliefs into relationship is very unique. But why we say that in layman's terms, which again sometimes can even be ego, when we say Unconditional doesn't have expectations, but why? If we don't understand why, we can't outlearn old behaviors. And it's not being humble, that's being honest from my point of view. If we don't know what we're doing wrong, and it doesn't have to be that it's wrong, it's a lesson, isn't it? Because all wrongs, how do we know how to get the correct recipe? You do look at it through 3D, but unless you know where to look and what you're doing wrong, then, you know, if we were dropping ego, do you want me to be completely honest, we wouldn't be looking at reading, because the need to know means not releasing the ego. That's being brutally honest. So I'm saying we know these layman's terms, but we're not walking in our truth, and we have an expectation. We're actually not, because if we are readings, we're an ego. Okay, so when I'm doing these things, I need you to be present and listen, because I've been trying to be life and listen to me, in a sense that I'm learning the error of my way. Okay, so I can be honest. When I researched today, thank you, Giggle, and for me questioning, self and doing the research, I started asking my crucial questions, and I'm going to create some toolkits. Some of them I'm going to put on YouTube, but some of them are going to be purchasable where you can have forever, and you can use them as toolkits. Because when we're going, okay, expectation, why do we need expectation? Maybe because it makes us feel safe, and maybe because is a benchmark, okay? But if we knew that when we're operating from ego, that is the perception that requires those things, that then is the reality of the block. But even if you look at ego, it's not going to find where the block from. It won't. It's the work. So literally I have worked from 6 o'clock through to 9:30. The aspect of this, the whole day. I had a 1 hour walk. So we'll go in, we'll have a look. I need to gain my paperwork. Thank you, Antonella, for telling me. I didn't know. I was like, yeah, I've got time. I've got paperwork all over the bench. What piece of paperwork do I need to talk about? I'm going to create a toolkit which is going to help us actually understand how to be safe with things. And you know, even the aspect of psychology is very important to actually understand your psyche, how you tick, why you are the way you are. Fucking paperwork everywhere. And it's helped me be a bit more reflective about why I needed those things. Now, in layman's terms, the empath is born generally of a situation where we have a mother or a father or someone in our environment who may exhibit narcissistic tendencies. And this is broad. It doesn't have to be so heavy. It could be very slight tendencies. Now, within that dynamic, what happens is you then form an aspect to cope with what's going on. So you become the empath. You look at things very differently, and you utilize the tools because you're at that very natural stage, very untempered stage, and you start forming these tendencies to be able to cope with how to gain acceptance and cope with the elements of the dynamic. Now, initially, the aspect of the ego is, it's in its natural form. It hasn't been shaped, so to speak. I've got to find the paper that says it. Okay, now in reality, when you look at different dynamics, we form into 3 different groups, which I will go into the groups in separate videos. I'll pre-record them and I'll upload them. Now, in the 3 separate groups, you will see, as I have seen, as I'm sure when I have talked to different people today, every single person I talk to, especially in a twin journey, it's very traditional, it's very normal. We will display some of these tendencies. Now, I'm going to go into details of them separately, and I'll do it very simple. Key point, what it is, what happens, what you attract, and how to reduce that so that you're not in that codependent cycle of jumping through. And then the style of how you're masculine or feminine, because both of us will hold these energies, what will happen within those dynamics, okay? Now, generally speaking, the ego is there to protect you, but it's the heart is untainted, right? Something happens and then the heart realizes that frequency, and it can be in any shape or form. It doesn't have to be connected to romance, but in general, the heart has been wounded and a wall is then created around the heart. The heart then realizes that if you deal with an energy in a particular manner, that same situation will happen. So what we then form is a band-aiding effect, and this is with every aspect of our life. If we have had lack of success in a job, we program the heart to understand it's a receptor that goes out. Oh, that's going to happen. Okay, now, but I liked that feeling when I was successful. So then the ego becomes overactive and goes, okay, I need to fill that hole. I need to fill that void. So what we're doing is we're not fixing the hurt. We're creating another problem. And this is where we become codependent. We're feeding the ego in a very unhealthy manner. So in order to have a healthy relationship with twin soulmate, anybody, and with yourself, you need to realize the reasons why you've blocked your heart. Now, you're constantly craving the energy to fill that void, but you're using anything that you need to do to fill that void. So it's like you want love, but you're like, ooh, but that equals that. So you're dangerous, so I'm going to go find somebody else. Because it then means it becomes a codependent cycle. If I have to feel that frequency because you've triggered me, that means I will need to deal with that hurt, because it's actually not about you. So the twin flame journey, many of us are going, we're awoken, so how can we be in that frequency? Many of us are saying, if my masculine hasn't got his shit together, how can I be in a relationship with him? And I can honestly say from the research I did today, you completely can. And the reason is because if you can remove your ego, it is not about judgment. It is completely about understanding if you are walking in your truth and you are awoken and you are not placing judgment and you are allowing them to evolve in their way and you have all your bits and bobs and your shit together, they do not define you. So that is why if you remove the ego, the expectation is not there. It is because when you look at it, right? But okay, when we're in that energy, you're going to hate me, that frequency, but hear me out until you hate me, but you're welcome to, because that's ego as well, me concerned about what you think about me. Hear me out on the other videos. It will explain it a lot better. This is just a snippet. When we are afraid and we're not dealing with some of the blocks that is totally very separate to a relationship or our twin or our habits or our goals, you know, it can be us trying to lose weight. We can't do it block, right? So that block then prevents our spiritual growth. Then it can be that we are wanting to attain a beautiful love connection, yet we are shaping it in some shape or form of our belief system connected to our ego and what our expectations are, but our expectations are towards ourselves and a lack within, that we are placing that frequency and that energy onto another human being. So we may think in our eyes that what happened to us was very horrible, but that's victim mentality. We may think that the person didn't see us for who we are. That's identity issue. And those are the videos I'm going to create where they're going to be short. I'm also going to put toolkits in how you can work with those frequencies so you don't keep attracting those frequencies, so that you're not getting that. So there's 3 styles which I'll go into in the videos, which Giggle has been talking to me, because we were talking from the aspect of, you know, the attraction, the mirroring. So the mirroring aspect I'll do as well, so that you have that and you can go, that's why that's happening. Okay. When we don't own our power, it is because we fall into 3 different categories, which I will go into. Now, with those categories, as children, we were believing that if we didn't act in a particular way, there would be a direct outcome. So it's an aspect, again, of we both are relevant in that. So if we needed to assert our power, there would be a direct consequence, but we weren't accepting of that consequence, so we stayed at that frequency. It's the same in the twin flame connection. So when a masculine or a feminine, however it goes, because we are both like that, you know, especially when we're in that trigger point, we are in fair connected to owning our throat chakra, and it doesn't have to be nasty. We are triggered by a environment or the dynamic of how it makes us feel. Do we need, you know, and many of us have said, I've had to move away from this person and that person, and I've said it for a while. You will come to a place where you won't need to. And that is because they do not dictate your frequency. Even at that mental capacity there, you are stating that person has personal power over your frequency. Nobody has personal power over your frequency. You are completely responsible for your frequency. It's taken me 41 years to get that. I would blame my mother, my father, because, you know, I had a vision of what should be. And it doesn't mean to say they're perfect, but it is what it is. And I can't change that. Moving away from the pain, I ran for many years. It didn't change it. It still was locked in the heart. Okay. Then it could be that I was scared that if I moved into the connection with my twin, maybe if he saw who I really was, he wouldn't like the person I really was. And I'm sure he felt that way too. Maybe if I displayed behavior in an I don't like what you're doing, maybe he would feel judged. You know, we all go through this. Yet the funny thing is, everything we're looking at connected to our twin is everything we're not wanting to happen to ourselves. You know, and sometimes we do that to them. So look, it can be that they cheated on us, right? People are human, they make mistakes. But again, it's a judgment, right? Because realistically speaking, a vibration, a feeling, an emotion, how we feel, we give that power for that feeling to come in. The heart, above all, is love. The 3D is, wow, I didn't pick that frequency, that person wasn't really ready or open. Or that suddenly you gave money away and then you were angry about it. And you were like, why did that happen? Didn't they see my value? Again, expectation. Expectation isn't love, you know? And so we're these wounded people looking at it going, you know, how did that happen? 100%. How did that happen? But where do we have power now? How can we take that power back? How can we feel safe in our life and allow people to come in and be at any frequency and just be okay with that? We are worried about the past, but the past is gone. But we're wondering how to heal it. That the way you heal it is okay, acknowledge it, purge as it comes through. But something that happened, right? And this is only putting it very lightly, and that's not, you don't have to heal it. But do we assess what we have in front of us right now? You know, the memory that we had of them, the memory of maybe beauty that we have today, and the fact that there's butterflies in the garden, that the place is still intact, that we have food and water. I mean, I know that's, and I know these emotional triggers are massive, but we've lost connection with moments. We are either behind ourselves or ahead of ourselves, and constantly in that frequency where we have this inability to feel safe in the moment. It's like it's not natural to us because we have been preempting, pre-anticipating, oh my God, what's going to happen in the future? And am I going to be safe? What happens if you're not there when I'm 80? What happens if I walk across the road and die tomorrow? I'm just saying. You know, you could have had dinner with your twin, sat across them and been right in that moment, and that could have been a memory for the rest of your life. It might have been the last memory for the rest of your life. But if you were so worried about what happened 10 years ago while you're having dinner with your twin, you're not there in the moment. You're not valuing the beauty of connection at that time, be it twin, soulmate, whoever comes into your life. But we're like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You know what I mean? So to diffuse the pain, knowing where the source of that pain is, to remove the ego, to be at the correct frequency. So, you know, the codependency, you know, where is it? I've got to find the 7 things where they say are directly connected to codependency. Okay, the number 1 question you need to ask yourself with the ego, you know, sometimes something is fitting. So you could be in a connection, but it makes you feel safe. You need to ask yourself why you don't feel safe. What part of not being with this human being would physically make you not feel safe? Okay, that's something really to look at. Are you avoiding an aspect of pain by dealing with certain aspects with twin? Or are you avoiding the pain by not communicating your truth? You know, when it comes to expectations, isn't it more correct boundaries? But really, would you need those boundaries if, say, you felt financially secure? I had a girlfriend call me today and we were talking about the past, a past tense pain. And I told her about the things that I'd researched today. And I said to her, in theory, we're not back there. That's not to lighten the moment. But I talked about the 3 patterns we can fall into in the dynamic of relationships, which all are egoistic energies, which aren't frequencies of love. They're also fear-based scenarios and conditioning. Yet the reason why we all collectively, especially as twins, after you watch the other videos, you will totally understand, and it will be such a light bulb moment to you. You'll be sitting there going, no wonder we've gone through this shit. It's because literally we have not been in a relationship in a loving frequency. We haven't been. We have been coming from a place of ego. We have been coming from a place of expectation. I own you. You're my marriage contract. Okay. There's been other times where we might have been Judge Judy, you know, and been looking at it going, you aren't what I thought you should be. Who the hell are we to say that they are not perfect in their imperfection? We don't want them to do that to us. Why would we want another person to do that? And that's the most imperfect person, because we are imperfect and perfect at the same. You know, If you feel enlightened, enlightened reduces ego, okay? It just releases it. And strangely enough, on this occasion, when my twin and I broke up, I chose not to run from my personal choice. And I didn't even know that I was running from myself. And it has been 17 years. So for me to physically say, stop, I know you're running, Yildiz. What are you going to do? Press whatever the shit is that's going on in here, because this is becoming stifling. Stifling to a point where in reality, masculine or feminine is never going to be able to keep up that frequency indefinitely. It's toxic. It's fucking hard work. It's exhausting because you're getting the padlock effect. You're locking yourself down and you're trying to fill it, and it can be with anything: food, alcohol, drugs, sex, use of relationships to hide your feelings because you don't want to feel it. Bouncing relationships. Nope, if I just move on, if I just get a soulmate, you're not getting a soulmate because you don't even have a soulmate relationship with yourself. But again, you can't avoid relationships either, because by avoiding relationships, you're avoiding the potential to heal the blocks that are within you. So I'm open to relationships. I'm open to loving, but I'm also spending a little bit of time in truth to get to the bottom of my shit. There are many people that will love you in your life. But if you avoid, the only way, and I've always said this, you will have blocks. We all have baggage. It's a reality. Forgive ourselves for that. So just be aware that when you're going to go into a relationship, those blocks are going to surface. But having that self-awareness when it comes to the surface and being in the knowing, you then can deal with that conflict and purge that. You know, sometimes it's very down so deep. You're like, oh, I thought I dealt with it. And it's okay if it comes back. Be aware. Don't operate from a place of ego. If they cause a trigger in you of jealousy and they wish to deal with that frequency, to diffuse that, you don't get triggered. And it may be they're doing something. If you were neutral, after a while, it's going to knock their ego down because they're going, fuck, you're not getting pissed. You're not judging me. Why? And then their questioning towards themselves of why they're operating from that is going to be them to decide why they're doing that, not you. Okay? Loving unconditionally is to let a person learn of their own accord. I had many years of being in a particular frequency where I was enabling people, and I was one of these three categories, which I could go into. Where's Giggle at? Love is a feeling. It has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with a contract. When you look at it, you could literally look at it as a negotiation, because it doesn't have any of the normal things that we think a relationship means. You know, there's moments where you've dropped the ego that it's completely, I know you, I see you for you, I see you for your choices, I understand your choices. Sometimes I don't understand. But spending more time knowing who you are instead of passing and casting judgment. If you choose a person who's codependent, if you choose to love a person who is an alcoholic, sex addict, a drug addict, you discern what's correct for you. It has nothing to do with an expectation. Love is a complete vibration. The thing is, half the time, the things that we get triggered in is something we're not towards ourselves. And it's a slap in the face to feel that. You know, to a point where you say, why didn't you acknowledge me? Why didn't you acknowledge yourself during that process when you were sensing that something was going down, you know? And we do get angry at ourselves because we're like, why didn't I see that happening? Because we're at a humanistic frequency. And I know that sounds kind of weird. It's almost like a made up word, but love is just, hey, I don't know why, man. I just love you. It's a feeling. And the reason why many twins have come this far and we go, oh, we're so tired, is because we're purging the ego. we're purging the ego. It is not an expectation. It's not for your safety. It's not for your gratitude. Frequency. Where are the 7 things? I've got to find this. It was so interesting when I read it. Okay, the 6 roles the ego is judgment, prosecuting, defendant, jailer, offender, and victim. Now, in no part of that frequency, offender can be a person who been wrong to you or has cheated on you, who has done something to wrong you in general, right? Prosecutor, you casting a judgment saying, hey, because you did this, this is what's going to happen. That's the prosecutor. That's not a frequency of love. That's a judgment. Didn't know we were in a law. We're in a loving romantic connection, right? So I know shitty. It's real. We've been doing this. Now, it depends. Is your frequency, well, you weren't, that dynamic wasn't part of my plan? Well, yeah, probably not. 100%. But again, love is separate from expectation. And that's the fucking hard part. Victim, thinking you had no power. We all have power, but to retrieve it, which means take that kind of padlock off our heart and go, I had some issues down here and I was anticipating that somehow you could make me feel better about that block. Okay? So the addiction is you looking at yourself as a victim and trying to find that Band-Aid constantly in other people to fix what's going on inside. Okay? And it's very hard to get the complete life balance, but it's doable. It's doable to have that self-awareness, Enlightenment is being able to look at yourself and critique yourself, but not be nasty, but just be humble, and go, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying. I'll go away and I'll think about that and I'll see how it applies to me. Okay, because that's not a judgment. This is research I've done today. I'm using this on myself. Okay. If you allow it into a relationship. Now, while I looked at this information today, there are a few people in interviews and things like this that I looked at and they said, how can you have a relationship with a person while they're not awoken or while they're not, doesn't matter who they are. Hi, coming in late. What is your take on false twin? Well, at the moment, what I'm dealing with is going to deal with everything. Because the thing, where we were at that frequency, okay, at a judgment, a prosecutor, a defendant, a jailer, an offender, and a victim within the twin flame connection at that frequency within ego, we were as good. Now, be careful. Don't yell at me or bite me. When we're at that frequency, which is expectation, judgment, we're serving a karmic purpose, right? Because we haven't learnt to purge our blocked heart of, hey, I feel I have no control. And that is human, okay? Us as humans collectively. At a frequency level right now for our ascension, some of you may go into soulmate connections. Some of you, if frequency is not correct, could get into a karmic connection, but that's because you haven't purged the old 3 kind of brackets that we fall into, okay? Others of us might go back to twin. Regardless, when we're looking is it fake twin? Is it the twin? What we need to know is you can love unconditionally regardless of who this human being is. You choose. We give our power away like we're psychoanalyzing things. Is this my real twin? Regardless who you choose to have a romantic connection with, if you believe in your soul, it's a spiritual connection, then these energies are still going to be relevant in a karmic, a soulmate, or a twin connection because they are your spiritual ascension. You are twin. So for you to have that, you can decipher between what is going to be correct for you, but you will still have to purge these energies. For your finances to be successful, giggle. For your finances to be successful, to purge these things is incredibly important. So at some point, I'm going to get Giggle on here. I'm going to put her on my TV. We're going to sit on the couch and we're going to have a chat. I'll probably even get Mark and Darry and other people in. And we're going to talk about it from twin point of view of what we've experienced. because I know Giggle's been on the journey a very long time. I know for me, I have too. And just the enlightened conversation I had with Giggle today, plus she doesn't even know, I've literally been working on it since, 6 this morning through to 9:30 at night. There is a lot of information that I've got that is going to help us actually be safe moving into connections. But the thing that we do need to realize is A, we need to know what the work is. B, we need to know how we have played a part in it and how people have been attracted to us. Because you know how some people are saying, I keep attracting these douchebags. How do I keep getting these idiots? There's a reason why that's happening. There is a reason. Does it make sense? So I think I've formed about 10 videos on the table, which I'll start doing. You can, but it's called creating healthy boundaries. That's what I'm saying. A lot of us have believed in our life that, and again, that's the victim mentality, right? That's the victim energy. But it's because you're an empath. People are attracted to you like a vampire. Now you need to learn the tools to be able to hold that at bay, create healthy boundaries. Now, if they don't respect those boundaries, yes, you remove yourself. But we can be in people's frequencies and still be in our truth. They could be shouting their bloody ass off, right? And that as a Buddhist monk level, it wouldn't affect you because your truth. You're not defined by their opinion. It moves through and you look at them and it diffuses them. And if it keeps going, you remove yourself, you return again. And you are teaching a person that you will not be wavered. You will not be moved. You know who you are. It doesn't affect, it diffuses them. If it's a very, very toxic situation, obviously, but in instating the new frequency within you, you need to understand your truth. You need to understand your power. The boundaries are things after a while, you won't need boundaries because you will sniff bullshit, but you will be able to be in your truth without judgment because it won't affect you. You have your finances in order. You have your friendships and your circle in order. You have your knowing of who you are. You've dealt with your emotional shit. That you have created a life and you are in every moment. You are not in the past. You are not in the offender, prosecutor, defender, jailer. And you are completely present in that moment, taking that person for that second, not yesterday. And if they can't do that in time, they will see how your life becomes and they will want to do that themselves. It diffuses them. If they open conversations, you say, I would rather not go down. You know, it's strange. It's taken me 41 years to learn this, of how to diffuse energies and realize it was part of the equation. I had to take accountability. Hey, Ascension Essentials, how are you? So, you know, when we fall into these energies, it does become problematic because a lot of us are looking at our life right now and especially triggered by dates. Now, honestly, September is going to be very interesting. But if you can trust that universe has your best intentions at heart and work with the energy and do the work, you're going to get there. But the thing is, when we say, when's twin going to come? And we're looking at a reading, right? A reading. If we haven't done the work, yes, your twin could turn up, but you're not going to be ready. That was what I was trying to say. If you're going to get triggered and you're going to tell your twin to go, you're not unconditionally accepting. If you think, oh, okay, if I turn you away, you're going to come back correct. But are you correct? Because how do I put it? Love is not judgment. Is it going to affect your life? Well, choose not to give money. Is it going to affect your frequency? Choose not to get triggered. Hear people out. It's their perspective, but the ego tells you that your perspective has to be their perspective. It's not. Perspective in ego is made through pain. Okay? Through pain. So if we diffuse our pain, we don't need to project our pain onto our twin or a karmic or a soulmate, and then it doesn't affect us. Their opinion can be hogwash and it still wouldn't affect us. It's like, fancy you thinking that. Wow, I'll take that into consideration. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I know how hard the twin flame role has been? Yes, I do. Because when my twin would do, I was in a particular role in different times. Certain times I was the giver, which I will do videos on. So I will tell you briefly what the 3 brackets are. Okay? I will tell you what they are, but Giggle and I have said that I'm doing videos recorded because a lot of times when questions are coming through, that it becomes problematic for me tuning, etc. So I'll leave it because it is videos I'm going to do and toolkits and all the rest of it. But the 3 brackets we fall into in any given point in our life is the rescuer mode. So at a point in life, we might have looked at our twin and thought they needed rescuing, but this would have happened beforehand. This would have happened well before twin come along, where you felt the need to save people. Heal people. I can fix them. I can make them better. At some point in time in your journey with your twin flame, and I can guarantee you guys have gone through all of these energies. It's probably another way you can tell if you're a twin, but humanly, collectively, and you would listen at some point in time as well. So it goes both ways, male and female, masculine, feminine, soulmate, karmic, whoever you are. These energies serve a purpose to help purge this shit. Who was in victim mode? I need saving. I need a person to come and save such a hard life. I've had a moment in my life where I want someone to look after me for a change. It's partially ego, but it's partially hate. I wouldn't mind someone helping me for a change. I've been this as well. And I've actually had it where I have seen my twin in this energy and I've gone, wow, it must be horrible. And I have played that role of being the rescuer and vice versa. We have done this both back and forward. Again, it is to do with ego. It's to do with blocks. Then you got the final, and I recreated the name for this one, the ID mode. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? Like, you've been to a relationship and you're hoping this guy is knight in shining armor, and that's your eminence very early on in the piece. If you've met quite young and you think you know who you are, but you don't know who you are, and you're like, I'm ready to get married and have kids and do all this and that, and they're like, you don't even know who the fuck you are. Or attract someone who is okay with you being in that frequency, because that means they're rescuing you. They're in the rescuer mode to the person that has an identity crisis because they don't know who they are. They don't want to address the core wounds or the core areas of addressing, well, I need to know who I am. And look, in truth, we never know who we are. We are a different person in each day. But when you get to the point where you go, my mother believes I should, and it should be with this nice Greek boy, and I need to have 4 babies and we are going to live happily ever after, because that's what society says. That's not love. That's a codependent energy, okay? And I've been there too. I've been everywhere, man. Like, I needed to find who I was, and it was hard because, as they say in the twin flame connection, there is the religious factors card. It's like the difference of views. You're so similar, but your belief system, the way you grew up, your ego mentality, all of that is dictating what the hell is going on in the twin flame journey. Okay, so when we're in these frequencies, when we're coming into it and we're going, are we ready for our twin? Have we addressed who we are? Point 1. Are we in victim mode? Have we sorted our life out? 2. Do you still need rescuing, or can you do it? Because if you're in any one of these 3 categories, you're still in a karmic cycle, and you possibly could be the karmic energy, the catalyst to transform the journey, going into reunion, not union. Okay, does that make sense? Now, they can still be in that frequency. You could still be in that frequency. One of you has to be awoken. Now, when we're going, is my twin awake? It doesn't matter, because if you have the correct frequency, you can awaken them just being in your truth. Be it you choose to be with them, be it they allow you to be with you. Because again, that's ego. It's like, you trigger me, which means they've got to purge the ego. Okay, hit like so other people get this video, because it does help them, guys. So yes, you can be with your twin at a lower frequency. from what I've discovered today. But you need to be at the higher frequency and be walking in your truth. You would not fear your twin leaving you if you didn't require them. It's love. You love them when they're with the karmic. You love them wherever they are in the world. Are you okay? Do you choose to love your twin? Well, hey, I'll tell you what, if you're actually a true twin, you love them unconditionally regardless. They could be having 50 babies. They could be in hospital. They could be going, and you're still going to love them because love is not an expectation. It's a frequency. It's not. We can cry because we are like, this, you reminded me of this pain I had. Yeah, he fucking did. And there was plenty of that down there, and I'm sure there's plenty down there still. But they do not equal expectation, okay? So we're going, what happens if they come back and they cheat on me? You're still going to love them. You can choose. Does this person bring value to my life? Now, value, you have to feel in yourself, right? Love is from past lives. So we're bringing past life shit with us. Then we're falling into the rescuer, the victim mode, and the identity crisis mode. If we get that in order, you have your whole life together. You have your friendships. You have your unconditional love for your twin. You have your family. You have, your, identity with body. It generally is your ego and your perception personally. Because your twin could be looking at you thinking, I think you are like Mother Mary, eat your heart out, a queen on the throne. And you're going, I hate my... Because the body comes down to your opinion of yourself. Now, if you're walking in your sexy and you feel fine, it doesn't matter what anyone sees because they see that frequency. It is glowing energy, masculine or feminine. You need to know who you are. You need to love yourself. You need to feel hot in your own skin and be accepting of yourself. If you can't look at yourself in the mirror, Yildiz, for being flawed at times, for being humble and judgmental, all of those things, then being karmic soulmate or twin and accept them to look at you. You have to look at yourself and you have to be okay for the energy flawed because you are a human being. We are ascending. Our spirit is spiritual, but our body learn. So we need to forgive our body for learning and we need to be humble with the transformation. It's hard work. Does that make sense? So I will leave those videos separate. I will get into them and I will do them so that we can look at how to work through those energies, because I can tell you now, and it'll go in one ear and go out the other, because it's going to be a daily thing. Now, I'm saying that because the more you become self-aware, you will check in with yourself. Am I doing this because somebody wants me to do it? Am I doing it because I'm okay with doing it? Do I have time today? No, I don't. Okay. Do I want to do it? No, I don't, but I'm going to do it for them. That's a choice. You can do that. That's a choice. You need to own that. If I give somebody money, am I doing it because I have an expectation so they like I've won them over because I did the best thing for them? Ego. Okay. Check in with self. You don't need to worry. It's your choice. You don't understand. Like my friend that called me today, they said, when you are scared when someone's left you, the thing is, what you have missed, you're like, they left me. Okay, this is just from a reality check point. If you valued yourself enough, you wouldn't be looking at it that way. You would be like, I feel bad for them. They must miss me. Because you value yourself, okay? You're not a victim. They didn't leave you. They probably did you a favor while they were at that frequency and they're choosing to do some work alone. That's their call. And whoever it is, this is collective energy of an awakening, we're changing. Do you love yourself enough and value yourself? Then why do you think they're the only ones that have lucked out? Or you're the only one that's lucked out? Both of you energetically at the moment are hearted. But you're undervaluing yourself by thinking, they left me, they've picked someone better. Do you value yourself? Do you not look in the mirror and go, wow, you're a beautiful... You have so much to offer. Anyone will be blessed to have the presence with you. But you are working on yourself to better yourself. You're not perfect, but you're not the worst. You know, we value ourselves. But when we worry if they'll come back, we do think bad about ourselves because we're humans. Bad about myself anymore. It's the people I give my energy to that matter. But it won't. Okay, there's no better. I'm going to tell you that as a truth, because unless you change your frequency, the problem is us, not them. And I didn't know that. I'm not talking that twin has done something wrong to you. I'm talking that our frequency, if we have looked at it and they did not act accordingly, ego. And you will recreate that frequency. When you look at it, when you break it right down, if we have ever not known who we are and we hoped that somehow a person, handbag effect, I used to call it to my friends. I had a friend once that went into a pub and he had the love of his life, and you could see energetically who this person was, and he was playing hard to get, as twins do, because he didn't want to open his heart because it was risk. Risk means you have a potential of bringing up all my old wounds because you're my twin. And I'm sorry I do that, but they need to come out because they're not healthy either. And I'm grateful that my twin helps me do that and other people. So if you are with a person because they make you feel better about yourself, that's identity issue. If you are with somebody because you feel you need rescuing, that's an ego-related energy, and it's fair in dealing with your triggers and issues. So you may be looking at, hey, they didn't do right by me. Again, that's judgment, which is all ego energy. If you're in victim mode, which I can say I had been, I was like, I couldn't believe you did this to me. Part of it I allowed. If you're giving energy to a relationship correctly, nobody needs to go anywhere. If you are, but you can't stroke a person's ego. So if it was going to happen, it would happen, and it had nothing to do with you. Ego is saying, the reason my twin did X, Y, and Z was because of me. That's ego. The fact that I gave them this and that, okay, were they a transaction? Yes, it makes me sad because I lovingly looked at it as a 3D relationship, which I think sometimes we really should look at relationships like this as 3D. They have a very, very different spiritual vibration, 100%, but we would be a bit more grounded. We would be. The mentality of looking at it that way, then I had to stop in the mirroring effect and say, okay, how does this relate to me? Because I had a relation. I was trying to build Alice in Wonderland before we'd even got to Noah's bloody ark. Why? Because there was chaos around us. There were tower moments happening, karmic energies around us, and it was like, fuck. So I should have just let it float. I'd be like, hey, I mean, giggle, I should have grabbed a friggin' pina colada, sat back and watched the shit show with a bag of popcorn. I should have. And look, it would have been highly entertaining. It would have been highly entertaining. And it wouldn't have affected me because it wasn't mine. Have fun with that. It should. It doesn't because we are feeling we have no power. It doesn't when we're learning. When you're 41 and you've been through 17 years of shit with a twin, yes, it does. And it is not rocket science. We are not owning our power. We are lucky to be alive in this state. And when we're looking at it, yes, I've had my twin have kids with other people. I have had dreams that I wanted to be married to them. Sometimes ghosted, sometimes no communication. Sometimes I felt judged. Sometimes I've been an absolute bitch. Lots and lots and lots, okay? So don't think for a second I don't understand. But how we check ourselves. We can't, if we're selective about who we give our energy to, what we're actually saying is it's safe. And if it's safe, you haven't purged your energy. And if you haven't purged your energy, you're going to recreate that same thing that you don't want, doll. So, vibration. You can choose somebody other than twin, but you, if you have not done the work and you are feeling to keep yourself, you need to keep away from certain frequencies, we're missing the lesson in the energy, which we have always been safe unless we have those healthy boundaries and to say, hey, I am building the Great Wall of China. That's not going to work. Especially with the planets this month. We've got Saturn, we've got Venus retrograde. I if their ex had not interfered with your life and destroyed my, and they did in mine. They did. In my finances, my daughter moved out. I had money go. I had to fend for myself. On top of being a fourth time of my twin leaving me, my twin went into a karmic relationship. I know exactly how you feel. But the reality is, love is not ego. It's true. Love is not ego. I was so upset because I had an expectation. Now, you can choose not to be with your twin, but the lesson that he's showing you is where you have a hole in your heart. And so you can walk away from it and you can look at the hole in your heart, which is going to hurt like a gaping wound, which is what I've done for 7 months. I've sat on my living room floor crying in the fetal position. I have sat on the step thinking hard things that happened. And some of the research I've done today about ego, about codependency, which is all written in the Twin Flame Journey, which is work that we have to do. We're looking at tarot readings, but we're not realizing if we don't do the work, we're going to create that, doll. I know. It hurts me because adamantly said that would not happen. Same with me. But you need to release the hurt and try and find peace and know that it wasn't your fault. And to love a person unconditionally is to love yourself unconditionally, that you did the best you could, that you were there in the moment. Okay, do you know what I'm saying? It's don't be angry at yourself and don't feel that you could have done something better, because a lot of times we sit there and we're like, fuck, you know, it's not your fault. It's a frequency thing. So, and that's what I'm saying, you know, when we're looking at it 3D, it's like, no, you did something I did because I didn't give you enough, or because, you know, why couldn't you say, why couldn't you pick me? Why did you have to do that? Why do you trust me? My twin had me on Facebook for years, and I'm like, what the fuck are you friends with my family on Facebook for? Can't you be friends with me? You ghost me? Ego. He wanted to make sure I was okay. But sometimes they can't face you because you are their shadow side and looking at you, and they are ashamed, and it's scary. And times I look at myself and think, I mean, some of the things he told me about things that I hurt him on, I didn't know, you know, some things, yes, we do, because pains are so big in there and we don't know what's inside our twin's heart. Not all of it. A lot of it, sometimes many of us have said we'd really like to meet our twin, because unless we uncover these wounds that are keeping us away, we actually haven't met our twin. They keep running because they're finding different techniques to have the Band-Aid. So, in this Band-Aid effect, what happens? Where's the picture, the diagram? I'll find it. Bear with me. And then I'll pull some cards. Where did I put it? Okay. What shapes your ego? Our behaviors, our actions, and our thoughts. To dissolve the ego means that correct frequency without it manipulating and dictating how our life should be. So we can get to a point where the heart is bruised. It's felt that happy vibration, right? So the heart's been bruised. Then we put a wall around it, and it's got receptors, and it's saying, hey, if you come near me, the same thing's going to happen. Then what we do is we can still feel the pain. So we're trying to find techniques to feel that pain. That's all of us. So then we are believing that in order to have a loving connection, it has to look a certain way. So we've created a resume, and I can tell you, I had a resume. It was like, they can't have a sister. They can't have a mean father-in-law. You know, whatever. You have a resume. You end up building this list a mile high, and you have it in your head of what, you know, no, this is not what I will accept or tolerate. And if they speak to me this way, this is my, and trust me, I have reinvented myself so many times. I tried working on the outside. I tried working on my belief systems and my tactical approach. I mean, you could have sent me to the army, honest to God. To learn the code of twin, I was like Katy Perry, Rise. Or that song where she goes nup and she cuts her hair, she goes off to that. That was me, okay? Most of Katy Perry's songs were me. So what I'm saying is you can recreate yourself, but it's not going to mean jack shit if you haven't done the work inside. Shame, again, is, it is, yes, but unconditional love, you should feel, you should not wish your twin to have that. Because we've got to look at our life, right? Now, let's just put the whole past of the twin flame journey aside, just for a minute. Would you ever want to feel in a loving connection that you could not be you? In a loving relationship, how would you feel? How would you feel if your parent didn't love you unconditionally? How would you feel if your brother and sister turned your back on you? And, you know, in the twin flame journey, half of us have experienced this. So what you, and it doesn't even have to be an expectation that you choose to be with them anymore. Why can't you love your twin and understand the reasons why they do certain things? Is it that hard? Like, do you have hate in your heart for them? Ask yourself a question, you know, can you sit there and go, do you know what? I felt this pain. I know Giggle and I have done it. It's like, fuck it. And then the next day you're like, oh, fuck. Okay? At times you can be, I don't like the fact that you made me feel this. I don't like you. I don't like that you made me feel this. Oh. Then you'll be getting a smoke and a pina colada and you'll be stomping the pavement and energy and you're like, oh, this is tiring. Okay, I'm just saying. Let's pull some cards, eh? Let's see what's happening this week. Now, the downloads I've left at the moment because I think some of these tools and the videos I'm going to do are going to be able to show you how the mirror is coming through, how to avoid going into victim mode, rescuer mode, because we do that because if they make us feel guilty, we're like, oh. Okay. Rescuer mode, you are stating to your twin you have no belief in them. I'm just saying. Ego. Have belief in your twin. 3D, stop getting triggered by 3D. Have faith in your twin as a human being. Okay. ID mode, you don't know, you won't need boundaries. If you're okay, you don't need boundaries. You just be yourself. You'd be like, hi. How you doing? It's nice to see you. Regardless, I'm going to leave that. That's separate. That will be separate video. I've got the recordings to do tomorrow. I've got bookings tomorrow. So if you're in victim mode, why do you feel you need saving? What are you going to do to save yourself? Who will save my soul? Yildiz, okay? You need to save your soul, peeps. We need to do the work. I'm going to do the video so we can go, right, what's the work? The work is when you get triggered, number one, but the work is keeping out of those 3 brackets. You fall into that bracket and you are recreating a karmic cycle, and then we're as good as karmics. We don't want to be in the karmic cycle anymore. We're high vibrational beings. We are leading by example in this world, and we are finding our happiness and our calm, okay? So to do the work so that we are high vibrating being that can have beautiful, beautiful connections spiritually, where we can change the frequency of the fucking planet, because let this anymore. Let's break this cycle. And if we keep saying, put this to me, there you go. We need a code word. We need, and just to check ourselves, you know, what should the code word be? Should we have a vote? Should it be Houston? Houston, we have a problem. Or Mayday. We're going to have to think about this. We'll have to have a vote. And then we can check in. I mean, when I've worked with some people, especially my friendships, I try and give them tools that they can look at. And then I always apply it to myself. Whatever I say to you guys, I apply it to myself, because I've got to walk my truth. If I can't walk my shit, I can't expect you guys to do it. So I'll create a toolkit so that we can work on that, so that we can start moving forward. Now let's have a look at the cards for the twin flames. What's happening? I hope it's not flickering. Mark helped me do some changes on the settings with this. It's driving me nuts. Otherwise, I'm taking it back to the shop. Sorry. I'm getting a camera tomorrow. On the normal recordings, it's okay. But I just can't bear to have my head on the big screen on the computer. It's like it goes like this. It's like, whoa, man. I don't like looking at my head, so it's like... Close your eyes. Oh. Think, listen, not look. I'll have to put that on the video heading. Listen, don't watch. Even though sometimes I noticed on the other one, I was so disappointed actually, but hey, it's the way it goes. Oops. Now, this will be interesting because I want to see how your perception changes now that we had this talk. Because there are things that feminines can do to change frequencies, but we haven't been looking at that. Now, number one, how the trigger affects you defines what the outcome will be. Now, currently, the energy of what each is meditating on, masculine energies are meditating upon the separation, what transpired and what has been going on. They're also dealing with their emotions connected to it and how they feel about it, how you feel about it, and they're looking into what to do from here. Your feeling, whatever this frequency is, cannot last at this ratio. Okay? Now, at this ratio, you need to ask yourself the question, why would your opinion feel it can't last? What is blocking you from having this? Now, you're going to go 3D. Okay, number one, time. Many of us are getting to a point where we're saying divine timing. Many of us are saying, you know, I don't want to wait. Now, that's a choice. Now, if you're operating from panic, that's ego. If you're operating from, I want to have babies, when are we going to get married? Again, it's from, you know, an ID mode point of view. So we need to check in with ourselves and go, okay, why? Now, if there's a real 3D reason why, you need to trust that it's divinely guided. And you need to go with the flow with that. If there's something you can physically do this week, try not to get triggered. September is one of those months moving into. Now, there's shadow period of the Venus retrograde, and it moves through to October, and there's a portion, I believe, in November. I've got to tune into it more, but there are key dates. This week, you're going to be undecided, okay? You're going to feel interesting. Your vibration may pick up where you have more energy to be able to get things done at home. Your mind might be going at 100 miles an hour. You may go off meat, because Giggle and I have experienced that as well. It's like particular food groups just not working for you. It's understandable. Now, they're dealing with conflict. They're like, how the hell do I get out of this? They're dealing with their pain. It can be that they're unwell. It can be ascension symptoms as well. They're going through the ringer, okay? So that's where they're at right now. You do hold hope. Internally, even if you won't admit it, a portion of you is holding hope. Now, the hope, try and push that back into your life at the minute. Try and focus on self to keep grounded, which is going to be pretty important. This month, you will need to get to the point where you have all stops out. That can be your bath salts, your meditation, you're shifting your perspective into your journey, in a sense of preparing yourself to move out of any of those modes I've mentioned. You know, and if you do that, you're doing the work and you're on the right track. Is your home in order? Are your bills in order? No, we're not perfect, but what we can do, what we have power within, we must adhere to. They are feeling like a person is in it for finances. They're also very concerned about their finances. So it can be that a karmic energy is coming back into their situation, and it is helping them see perhaps something that they experienced in the past is a karmic energy happening towards themselves at the moment. And it's feeling like they're very concerned about the aspect of finances. And the more they're holding on to that aspect, the more it's actually blocking them in. A lot of times when we are stuck at these frequencies and blocked, what happens is universe is trying to teach us something at a frequency level to show us that, in fact, we do have power. So although they're stifled and it can be finances, the body kicks in, which this is where the ego is good, right? The body comes in and it pushes them. It pushes them to get to a point where they have to react. Is it still playing up, is it? Is that working better? Better? Now, you guys are working very hard. Many of you can be working on businesses. It is what it is, eh? I wonder how I can do it. I'll move it around here. Is that better? Okay, many are working on businesses, and this is with the feminines. It can swap vice versa, because really our energies are both. Twin flames. Okay, so you guys, it can be that you're working very hard on your money. It can be that you're trying to learn something. You might be needing to sell certain things and get your work in order. It can be for many of you that finances are coming in, but you're going to be focused more on the task at hand than the physical finances coming in right away. It's more the application of energy to move towards that. Now, for your masculines, they're wanting to make a romantic gesture, okay? Now, it is an emotional gesture. It can be a truce, but I feel for many of you, it will be the intention to actually move towards you. You have somehow spiritually become very cautious, and it's all coming back to the fact that you felt abandoned. Now, again, the videos that I'll do will be connected to abandonment related issues, how it directly impacts us, what we can do to change that, and take our power back and still be in a person's frequency. Okay? Now, the thing is, you're trying to heal, but you're also trying to have the faith. You're trying to vision about things. The head has nothing to do with the heart. The head is governed by the ego. Right? So if you need to do that, you still needing a bit more time to purge, but I think your twin, a soulmate, or a karmic triggers is meant to come. It's like throwing the trash out. So trust it. It can even be a slight conversation. It can be visually seeing them. The trigger is perfect. Releasing the hurt so that you've got that fresh slate so you can be ready for the connection. You're trying to be fair and understanding about it, but you're wavering. You're going back and forward between it. Now, your twin is really, their blocks are their pride at the moment. It's ego based. So they're still moving through, perhaps forgiving themselves for being human, for making mistakes, as well as trying to move through this energy and move forward. It can be that they're dealing with, again, the financial aspects, and it can even be severing connections. Okay, they don't feel connected to the current location or person currently with. They are not committed to it. They are tired of the fighting. And they may not be seeing eye to eye with this person at the moment. Or the energy of where they are, what they're currently doing. It seems conflict. There's no blessings at the moment in their life. They're finding it hard, or they're trying to seek the blessings in the energy of this person or in the energy of their current situation. They do want to give you a gift, and they do want the happy energy back. They're moving out of the energy of sadness, and they hope you have as well. They don't feel spiritually that this connection, the two of you, has ended because you're twins. And it can be that they're wishing to make communication with you. They're not hopeful that you, they literally think you won't even address them. They really do feel you won't address them. Now, you physically are losing faith. You're like, is this going to come? You're scared that everything that comes to you is going to be taken from you. Again, the energies we directly spoke about. The fear of it is manifesting it. But also, moreover, in focusing on the fear, you feel it's actually something that can be taken from you, but it's currently here. But you still love. So, meditate on that. Try and not get triggered by that. Okay, you're thinking that no communication is going to come in. I do actually feel it is, but you're not going to see it coming. Now, you're panicking about some things that are going on in your 3D life, and it might be that you're worried about your twin. You are thinking, for some of you, what way to go. Do you move on? Does your twin still want you? A lot of feminines are in this frequency at the moment, not vice versa, whereas the masculine's very much feeling this. I feel the feminine's actually feeling that for many of you as well. You're being very open in the way you are thinking. You're being open-minded, but you're wondering if you're even imagining some of these things. The signs and synchronicities are coming. You're wanting to see some consistency, but you're also trying to create that within your own life at the moment. Some of you are feeling that this whole journey is going to be like, am I going to see this person when I'm old and grey? Is this journey going to be the death of me? Is this person going to kill me? But there is going to be justice. Now, this is interesting because Venus is actually going to be in Libra. Okay, it's going to be in Libra. This is a time frame. Your justice is going to come during Venus retrograde. So between September and October, your justice is coming. Any questions? So whatever you deem as justice and clarity, let me check that. I'll have a look again. 1 minute. I have another download then. Where is it? Any questions? Which is October. September, October. No questions? Now, any updates I need to give psychically, I wanted to tell about the videos first and our perception to shift it, which can help with us getting to the point where we can have union. If we are not aware and we're flipping into those energies again, what we're going to get is another codependent relationship. You don't want that. We would like a high vibration relationship, a healthy relationship, a spiritual relationship. So if you guys are wanting a booking for me to tune into frequency and work with your blocks, then we can have. Can twins have birthdays on the same date and month, but not the year? I feel so. Don't ever look too critically into aspect of it. If you're receiving the acknowledgement, the soul connection, and almost at times the telepathic communication and a deep yearning and longing, what's the other thing that I decipher as you just can't? Like, I've done the in, out, and any other person, you would have gone, twin, okay? Don't psychoanalyze it. Oh, we should have been X amount of years, or it should have been at this time, and oh, we had to have. It won't matter. Are you in love with the person? Okay, if they're your twin, you know they're your twin because you're going through the bloody ringer. It's a huge process. It's a spiritual process. To get it to that balanced state, we need to get ourselves balanced. But look, we can be balanced, right? It is divine timing, but there's no right timing, right? Because a lot of us have been looking at it going, it hasn't been the right time. It probably has been because we've been operating from a place of ego. It's been imbalanced. And we have into those three different categories, which is the victim mode, the rescuer mode, or the identity crisis mode, and then it imbalances the whole situation. Every time is the correct time. It can be when they've got like the baby's mama coming up in their face, screaming at them. You need to be sitting back out of ego going, how did that make you? While they're getting their head bitten off. And you're looking at them going, and they're going, why aren't you getting triggered? Because I trust that you have your power and I won't take that from you. My twin's karmic would call us at 11 o'clock. He's pissed me off. I don't sleep anyway. And I really was not triggered by the human being. It was, in my mind, the rudeness of an interruption at that hour. That's to me, and that's the way. Did I have a problem with them? No. But I would like sleep. But again, it's like expectation, ego, just go to sleep, turn over, yeah, whatever. If they're going to do something wrong by you, do you grasp? Anybody can do that. And if you're going to worry about it, you're not enjoying the moment. And if they're going to do it, there's the door. Okay, you don't feel happy with it all. 90% of the twins are going to get to a point where they're going to go, fuck, I had it good. And that's okay. If they feel happier somewhere else, bless them. Bless them. And there are enough, and he is on. Yes, our perspective may feel that way, but September and October are very interesting months. We're going to get very triggered. Our perception may feel one thing, and look, 9 times out of 10, your twin, when they are looking a particular way, what they're feeling inside is very, and I know that because I've been like that. I'm fine. I'm so pissed. Yeah. What you say and what you do in a twin flame journey, 9 times out of 10 with the masculine, is the complete opposite. Complete opposite. I'm telling you, go and listen to Ella Goulding's codes. It's smack on. Codependent, weird relationship thing that comes through in the song, and it's like, I don't know. And, you know, Julia Roberts' Runaway Bride, it's kind of that in the masculine layman's terms of it's like, okay, see you soon. Pretty much. Yeah, you're like, fuck sakes. What is rude? Because ultimately speaking, look, if we broke everything down, the boundaries are twin hasn't created healthy boundaries with their karmics. But then I had to look at my life and I hadn't created healthy boundaries in mine either. Okay. So the judgment was, wow, mirror, okay, Yildiz, how does it directly impact you? Like, what have you been doing? Have you been putting up to naughty girl, your naughty daughter? Yeah, you had been. And she angel. Hi. Have you moved? Some sweet lady has moved home. I'm going to have to get some balloons and I'll be like, yay! Super happy for you. Hi, Mystical Love and Aries. Okay, so now for this week, I'm going to try again the moon clearing. I'm going to get the videos done for the categories that we fall into when we're in the weak state and we're in those cycles with our twins. So we can check in ourselves, be it we're in a soulmate connection, we're in a twin flame connection, we can check in and go, oh, am I doing any of these things? If I'm doing these things, wow, I better get this under wraps so that I don't keep forming that habit with my ego that pushes me into that point where I am codependent because I'm needing to create an energy to fill the void of what I've got padlocked. You will understand when I do the videos. Thanks, Tanella. Thank you for clicking like on the video. Now, if you're wanting a booking, you can go to the link on one of the other videos early until I can do the link on this. September is going to be a very interesting month where, how do I put it? On the 10th, I feel many of you will gain some clarity. You by the 24th and the 27th are going to again have an opportunity for clarity. This month can cause tower moment. It's going to be very important that we are on our game, that we are trying to keep ourselves grounded and we are doing all we can to make sure that we are grounded when we're making decisions connected to the twin flame journey. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But I'll try and do a separate video. The other one is the information on the previous video. Any questions before I run and go? So bright here. No questions. Anytime, Sherry. Offended anyone? I strongly am sorry. It was not my intention. I'm just sharing what I have, you know, found, and anything I do find that I can share with you guys as tools to help us get through to union, not reunion. Union, not reunion. You know, the self-awareness and the tools are going to help us stage so that we're not going. And look, the union is with self. If you don't have union with self, you can't have a proper relationship. That's the truth of it. So when we're going, I'm running away from twin, I'm going to go get in a relationship. Are you aligned correctly? Or are you going to move into a karmic situation because you are trying to fill the void? You don't want to fill. We don't want to fill the void. We want to be fixed and then have a beautiful life. If we're carrying our gaping wounds with us and then filling it with cotton buds, we're wounded. Let's not do that. You know, it's going to be like, oh, okay, the yellow brick road. You know, Dorothy, we don't want that. I know, but it does hurt. I mean, like, never understand. I have been everywhere, man. I've been the good, bad, and the ugly in life. I am beyond perfect, trust me. So when I'm saying it from a place of love. Okay, guys, look after yourselves. Take very good care of yourselves, and I will be back as soon as I can. I'll tune into the next couple of days and I'll psychically come on and I will tell you what I'm getting as a download. I can say that energetically there has been a shift. I feel there's deep meditation and transformation. If you're getting the nausea, try and keep your chakras with your solar plexus, your base chakra, and your count chakra kind of in balance. They're the ones that are going to get blocked at the moment. With your downloads, they're going to start forming a pattern. You can pay attention to them, but also try and keep on track. You know, sometimes you're going to sense an energy where you can feel particular energies around you, and that's more going to be like almost like you're going to get a phone call, or many of you have been experiencing energy in your dreams. It's all very normal. There's a transformation going. This is a very karmic cycle at the moment, and one in which we haven't experienced in 2,160 years, because we are entering into the age of Aquarius. So this is something that has never occurred before. So we don't quite know in that dynamic how it's going to us, but definitely it will take on the energy of it. Crown chakra. You know, try and get blockages in the chakras to move through the energy are going to have trigger points. So try and get the fluids in. Try and eat red and yellow food groups this week. I mean, you should be seeing the food I've been eating. It has been vegetarian. I think I made a rice dish which had kale, artichoke hearts, mushrooms, green beans. What else did I have in it? Yeah, and of course my char-chu chili. I just love my chili. And that was my dinner. Vegan. I had the mushrooms and, you know, meat for vegetarians. Anyway, I love yous and like yous. And if you're wanting a booking, you can go to the link in... I will be doing like the recipes for the chakras, but I'll get the chakra videos done first. Then I'll open them up. I'm not going to open them up one. You guys are going to have the bell going off every 5 seconds. I'll do them in folders, open them up, and then you've got the use of them right away. But I'm creating the tools, and then we can use them through our lifetime. And at least we can look at them and go, okay, where am I at? Am I doing this? Or, you know, let's not do this anymore. Yeah. We want to have healthy relationships. I think we're ready for them after this lifetime. Okay, guys. After yourselves, I'll talk to you soon. If I can turn. I don't sleep. Are you joking?